At which point Tom got up and walked towards Alex to pick up from where he left off. "This is great," said Ned. "I'm super excited to see your approach put into action, Alex," he said. Lisa nodded, agreeing, and added, "As I see, architecture and enterprise projects portfolio management are two limbs of strategy execution. I would like to see both these capabilities work in tandem and help us create an agile enterprise." "Precisely," said Tom, and added, "That is exactly what this is shaping up to be," and continued, "While strategy can be thought of as a set of approaches that at a high level translates the abstract vision and mission statements to specific, quantifiable, and achievable objectives, architecture can be thought of as what makes strategy actionable, moving beyond high-level objectives and breaking strategy down into realizable and implementable business solutions. Strategy development or formulation cannot be done in vacuum. Without understanding the enterprise's context and the ground reality, opportunities, and constraints faced by the implementation and operation teams, as well as the consumer or stakeholder concerns, pain points, and aspirations. Strategy leans on enterprise architecture as a vehicle for iteratively exploring and probing the enterprise's current context and thereby formulating an appropriate set of granular objectives that it needs to work towards. As described earlier, this falls in the domain of intentional forward-looking architecture. The architecture development phases A to D in TOGAF ADM primarily focuses on this aspect of architecture across the four domains of enterprise architecture. On the contrary, phases E to H is about realizing the strategy and hence falls within the gamut of activities that encompass strategy execution. Hence, enterprise architecture straddles across two realms, the strategy realm and the implementations and operations realm, he said, bringing the discussion squarely back on enterprise architecture once again. He continued, just as how Alex explained, business epics following a Kanban flow moves a candidate business idea across various work stages of the portfolio Kanban to a fully fleshed out business epic inside portfolio backlog. The architecture work items too can follow a similar approach. Hence, I am proposing an architecture Kanban with work stages along the lines of, he paused to skip to the slide that showed a Kanban board template for enterprise architecture and completed his sentence along the lines of what is shown here. As you can see, the top level architecture Kanban board has 4 work stages. The first stage is the architecture funnel. It holds a list of top 10 architecture ideas and suggested initiatives by reviewing a repository of ideas that are harvested from across the enterprise from both top-down and bottom-up sources. The architecture development stage will encapsulate the TOGAF ADM phases A to F and will focus on creating an architecture vision and developing architectures and candidate roadmaps across the 4 domains of enterprise architecture, and also actively identify opportunities to move architecture to solutions. At the end of this work stage, the architecture team would have finalized the architecture epics that can then be prioritized, sequenced, and co-located with business epics within the portfolio backlog. Operationalized architecture stage will encapsulate the TOGAF ADM phases G and H, and hence it focuses on facilitating multiple teams that aid in realizing the architecture and the aspired business benefits. These teams include the implementation, deployment, operations, change management, and business embedment teams primarily, that work together to operationalize enterprise architecture and ensures that the developed solution is in conformance with the business and architecture vision, objectives, and that it also aligns with the architecture roadmap. This work stage also helps the team to make quick decisions on architecture changes that may be required to respond to emergent opportunities, risks, and issues. At a secondary level, each of these work stages may have a dedicated Kanban board to move work from start to finish within that stage. For example, the architecture funnel may have phases which look like this. And the architecture development Kanban might have the following stages corresponding to the phases of architecture development iteration of TOGAF ADM. The operationalized architecture Kanban might look like this. And with that, Tom concluded his presentation saying, well, this is where we are up to in our thinking around enabling an agile enterprise architecture capability. I'm open for questions that you may have at this point. All the stakeholders in the room sought several clarifications over the remainder of the time left in the meeting and were adequately answered by the duo of Tom and Alex. Ned thanked everyone for their contribution to the meeting and summed up the session saying, guys, this looks promising to me. I would like to start a limited pilot of the architecture capability as soon as possible and to see it in action within WebFirst. I suppose this would help us learn if we have missed out anything or any other adjustments that we would need to make organizationally to take this forward. He then thanked Alex and Tom for quickly coming up to speed and contributing towards the company's strategic push to create a transformed web-first banking corporation that can weather the storm of a new era of challenges and opportunities faced by the banking industry.